This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
And welcome everybody to the Monday Night Raw review for this 12th day of August 2025 as Clash in Paris comes to us in 2 weeks. Came up kind of quick. I feel like I just said it was 4 weeks. I don't know. Time goes faster as you get older, as I'm sure all of you know, and there's actual science behind that. But way beyond the point, I hope everyone's enjoying their Tuesday or their Wednesday or whatever day you're listening to this as the week rolls on here, and halfway through August, and that's crazy to me as well. Football is just a few weeks away. Baseball playoffs are just a few weeks away. As I said, the next PLE of WWE, Clash in Paris, comes to us August 31st, and then WWE stays over there for a couple of weeks, and we get to enjoy the last of the John Cena tour, which is winding down quickly, with just 11 dates left, and they're actually coming here to my hometown of Albany, but the problem is that they are not going to be here, or John Cena is not going to be here on one of those dates, so I'm a bit discouraged to go to SmackDown. If he was coming, there'd be no doubt about it, I would go, but WWE over the last several months and years has just spiked their ticket sales to a point that's just, it's ridiculous. Going to a PLE means you have to take out a second mortgage on your home. Going to a just a televised event means you need to use like a firm to have a payment plan of some sort. And maybe if you have enough cash laying around, you can get to a non-televised live event, a house show. But it's just getting ridiculous. I haven't seen the ticket sales yet for here in Albany. They go on sale in a few days. We'll see. I might go. It's been a few years since SmackDown has come here, and WWE has advertised Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes and some other big stars, but no John Cena, which is, again, kind of disheartening. Is it possible that he has another date or two? Maybe. He's not going on beyond December, but selfishly, maybe he'll show up. So anyway, welcome to the show. If you guys want to go ad-free and you enjoy the show, go over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Get an ad-free experience. It's a perfect place to go if you want to get rid of all those ads. Those pesky ads. You can also go over to Apple if you don't want to leave your app. Most of you do listen through Apple. Go to the subscribe button right there on Apple and go ad-free. And if you want to go on a yearly basis, you can. It does offer a few months for free if you do that option. Now, let's get into Monday Night Raw. That came to us, as I said, yesterday. And it was in, let me get the name of the building. I have it here somewhere. The Center Videotron in Quebec City, Quebec. And we had a recap of Seth Rollins cashing in the Money in the Bank contract. We're going to see that for a while. And they showed footage of the Rollins and LA Knight angle and the show closing angle with Rollins and his crew laying out Roman Reigns and CM Punk. And then CM Punk comes out and he's introduced by Alicia Taylor. And Cole said Punk held the World Championship just 5 minutes before Rollins successfully cashed in the Money in the Bank contract. There were loud chants for Punk, and he said the fans made it hard for him to be angry, but then he thinks about how there should be gold around his waist. He says, I have a Seth Rollins problem. He added that Rollins is trying his best to be CM Punk, yet failing miserably, and he recalled becoming champion for the first time in over a dozen years, which is actually pretty crazy. And he said that if fans thought he was relentless in pursuit of his goals and obsessed with becoming champion, he's even more possessed now when it comes to regaining the title. He recalled saying, hate the player, not the game, and says he doesn't hate the game because he's cashed in before, but he still hates the player, Seth Rollins. And he said Rollins wouldn't have to pretend to be injured because he's going to get his hands on him and then break his leg. That's a pretty good line. That's when LA Knight comes out. LA Knight and Punk here had an extended interaction, which I didn't think I'd see because of LA Knight's position in the company as of late, where he scratch the main event, but he's never going to really be the one to win. And it's going to be the same thing here, unfortunately, for Clash in Paris. If you're looking for LA Knight to have any chance of victory, it's not in the cards right now. Sad to say, but with Rollins just becoming champion, and they had this whole angle leading to the fake injury that led to the cash in. There's not a chance that they have any idea or any plan to take the belt off him, much less give it to LA Knight. And by the way, after this, I will talk about Karrion Kross. Okay. I do have some thoughts on that in just a moment, but finishing out this first segment here with LA Knight and CM Punk, which again was very surprising that they had a back and forth interaction, one of this length, particularly for LA Knight, who maybe this was his longest promo. And it was a hell of a test for LA Knight, who's going against one of the greatest promos in WWE pro wrestling history in CM Punk. It was a hell of a test. And I think LA Knight passed the test. He held his own with Punk. Is he as eloquent and clever and creative and witty with words as Punk is? No, he's not. But he's more than satisfactory to feel like he belongs. And that's what I was looking for here with LA Knight. While LA Knight's not young, he's in his 40s. And he actually does have a lot of experience. He was in the independents before WWE. It's not like just like he arrived at WWE for the first time ever being in a wrestling ring. But that's what I was still looking for, because this was his biggest test to date on the microphone, was being able to hang with Punk, not just in a short burst with prepared lines, but in having to ad-lib some things, having to go off the cuff a little bit, having to adjust on the fly, and remembering the bullet points that he had to say. And I think LA Knight passed, and that was a good thing. Did he blow Punk out of the water? No, he didn't. But it wasn't as if he looked nervous. He didn't bumble too many lines. He didn't trip over his words. LA Knight has done that in the past, and Punk has done that too. I mean, CM Punk is not immune to fumbles, bumbles, stutters. It's just a fact of being a human being, but he's not immune either. And I just wanted to bring that point up because I think this was a massive test for LA Knight to see how he feels with an extended promo against Punk. LA Knight did repeat himself a couple more times than he probably should have, saying that, he doesn't have a problem with him and he doesn't want a problem with him. He said that like 3-4 times. But it was a good point to drive home. I mean, saying that these guys are not adversaries and they're trying not to be, because they're both baby faces, of course, and they have a common enemy in Seth Rollins. So they both were trying, while showing friction, saying, hey, look, I don't want to be your enemy. You don't want to be mine. And then reminding each other, hey, we have a common enemy, Seth Rollins. You got a Seth Rollins problem. I got a Seth Rollins problem. And so that was a nice thing to see, because I don't think there's anybody who really wants to see CM Punk versus LA Knight. It's not a match in demand. They're not anywhere near in position to do that. The fans aren't asking for it. They're both baby faces. They have a common enemy. It makes absolutely no sense for these two to have a one-on-one program. Now they will, of course, fight each other in the Fatal 4-Way, and they did have at the end of the match here with the main event we'll talk about later. They did have some explosion, but that's okay now that there's a Fatal 4-Way. They have a reason to be brawling with one another, because it's not just about them. It's really about Seth and trying to take the belt off of Seth. And you have these 4 opponents who are going to face each other in just a couple weeks. So it's okay in that context. But this was a good segment here. Paul Heyman did come out, and he was out there with the Brons, the tribal thief. That was a good line. The Shuafala. That was on. Where does he come up with this crap? Is he ChatGPTing his promos? I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, who would have ever thought of thinking of coming up with the Shuafala? Nobody came up with that. You know who came up with it? Just the mastermind of Paul Heyman and the tribal thief. Great stuff. And I mean, you do wonder how many pairs of shoes that Bronson Reed is going to collect before Roman Reigns redeems that. You know for sure Roman Reigns, after he claims victory over Bronson Reed and gets a spear and a victory, he's going to take those shoes back. And it's just a fun little side story. It's almost like a a trophy that Bronson Reed is carrying around that makes you want to see Roman get back at him. It's actually don't mind it. While I don't feel like, to me, it's not a personal sign of disrespect out of the fact that it's just against the law. I understand why people want to see Roman Reigns claim his shoes back. It's just personal property. It's a fine little side story is all I'm trying to say. So Paul Heyman did say that, he mocked the French fans, which was great, and said saying a few words in French and then saying that's all he knew. But what did he say? He called it the guttural language, just totally hammering French, which, hey, if you're a Canadian, French it's a pride in your culture. I know that. It's something that you treasure, especially when it comes to people that speak French. And I know that there are certain provinces that if you don't speak French, it's certainly frowned upon. And I understand that. And so, but as an American, this made me laugh because French here, I mean, the predominant language is English. We actually do finally have an official language of America, which is English, and it should be. Not that people can't speak other languages, but if you're going to be here, you should at least be able to speak the native tongue, right? Again, it doesn't mean you can't speak other languages or shouldn't learn another language for a job or be able to travel or whatever other interests you may have, but a country should have an official language. It just should, as a shared value for any country. I believe there should be one. And it should be expected that if you're going to live there, you should understand it or at least know the basics if you're going to travel. That not holding any other country to any standard that I wouldn't hold the United States to. But my point is, Heyman mocking French was funny because as somebody from the United States that doesn't know French, like the vast majority of Americans that cannot speak French fluently, you just don't care about French because it's not a language you need to know, or most people have an interest in learning at all or need to know. So it's just like, okay, yeah, it's hilarious. Like we all know bonjour, we know baguette, we know like the most basic, ridiculously elementary words for French. So it was funny hearing Paul Heyman mock the French language. Of course, if you're in Canada, you genuinely don't like it, but that's the point. So he said that he'd do whatever it took to get out of their province so he can avoid their guttural language. That was great. Just great. Heyman told Knight he should avoid getting into the favor business with Punk. It's a good reminder of, remember the favor that Punk gave Heyman, and then Heyman had to return the favor to Punk, which is what started the whole thing last year and ended with Paul Heyman turning on everybody and aligning with Seth Rollins. Very nice reminder, very nice tie-in by Heyman. He said doing so will take years off your life and cost you your tribal chief. And Punk cut off Heyman, saying someone was going to get punched in the face tonight, and he told Breakker and Reed to come on down. And Heyman said they could make it a match, and the predictable tag team match was set up, and that's when Breakker wanted to head to the ring, but Heyman talked Breakker down. Good open to the show. Solid open. Tried and true method of setting the hook for the main event. I know it doesn't need to happen every time, but it makes sense. You have your big stars to open the show that have a hook to the end of the show to keep you watching. It makes sense. It's been a formula that WWE has used and other promotions have used since the dawn of time, and it just works. No need to break something that's not broken or fix something that's not broken. And I think that this is something I'd like to see this more often, because sometimes we don't know what the main event's going to be. It just kind of happens in the middle of the show. So, all right. We then had Finn Balor speaking with Raquel Rodriguez, Roxanne Perez, and JD McDonough inside the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Dominic Mysterio shows up with El Grande Americano, which is the Ludwig Kaiser version, and the others wondered why Dom brought Americano with him. Balor pulled aside Dom and said he's good at reading the room, and the others don't want El Grande there. Dom spoke about using Americano at AAA Triple Mania. Balor said it would be great if Americano could help Dom bring the AAA Mega Championship to the clubhouse. Dom and Americano headed out, and Balor suggested that Rodriguez and Perez go speak with Pierce about the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. So good. I mean, a little tension there. I don't really have much to say about it. All other than the fact that I can't believe that Judgment Day is still existing. It's still a thing. Maybe perhaps to just wait until Liv Morgan comes back. I'm not sure what this is, really doing anymore for anyone. The Judgment Day has cooled off to a point of, if they disbanded, you would just throw flowers at their feet and say, job well done. Very good storyline. Help build new stars. Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest. I wouldn't say it helped Finn Balor really in any respect. In fact, Finn Balor is probably the one guy from this entire Judgment Day story that's been going on for a few years now that has not come out worse or better. He just was there. I know that's not a talking point for a lot of people about the Judgment Day and what the benefits of the Judgment Day were, or even the fact that Judgment Day should not even exist at this point. But the stars that it has helped create, Liv Morgan, it's helping Raquel Rodriguez right now find something to do. Roxanne Perez is getting some notoriety in that group. So okay, I guess it has a bit of a purpose still, but it's fading fast. But when it comes to Finn Balor, he's maybe the only talent that didn't get hurt or helped by this, because he was never the focal point. You never saw him break out as the true leader of the group. It always was by de facto Rhea or Rhea and or Damian Priest, rather, or some combination of those two. It helped Dominic Mysterio get put on the map as far as one of the biggest heels in the company's history. It produced a great storyline with Rhea and Dom and the chemistry there and the betrayal. Liv Morgan had a place to land and used Judgment Day as something that she could steal from Rhea Ripley and then take it over. The Judgment Day has been a nice platform. It has more than run its course. So I guess it has been overall absolutely a net positive. I guess if you were going to go into a micro vision of this or a micro analysis, you would say that Finn is the only one that you go, eh. JD McDonough even. JD McDonough, who had some kind of platform also to learn and to grow and to gain some notoriety and respect with fans. Great place for him to start. So, yeah. There, I don't know. I didn't think I'd go into a diatribe about the Judgment Day and its current status and its legacy, but I did anyway. So AJ Styles then makes his entrance for a tag team match with Dragon Lee versus Dom and Americano heading into the break. And then Graves hyped AAA Triple Mania with YouTube. And then Cole hyped El Hijo? Hi-Ho? No, God. Del Vikingo versus... I shouldn't even pronounce these names. It's an embarrassment. Can you tell I watch AAA regularly? Pretty obvious, isn't it? So anyway, there's going to be a Triple Mania main event that includes El Grande, Americano, and Dominic and Dragon Lee. I can say those names. There. Dom then comes out wearing a mask he removed as he walked to the ring, and Americano was waiting at ringside. Cole said Graves and JBL will deliver the English commentary for Triple Mania, and AJ Styles and Dragon Lee then took on Dom and El Grande. The match went 16 minutes and 40 seconds. Quite a lengthy match. Longer than I thought it would be. And the match ended with Dom putting on his mask and putting the metal piece inside of the mask, right where his forehead was, and Styles rolled up Americano, who kicked out, and then Dom headbutted Styles from the apron, and Americano rolled up Styles and got the 3 count. So Dominic and El Grande beat AJ and Dragon Lee, which, you know, if they're going to continue to use this headpiece, metal piece, I guess it's fine. It is becoming much of an Eddie Guerrero type of personality for Dom. Not that El Grande hasn't used the metal plate. He has, but it's been a trend now for Dominic Mysterio to continue to find a way to cheat to win. And the fans are still kind of mildly booing Dom, but hesitantly. I think we're all booed out. We've gotten it all out of our systems. I've said that since WrestleMania when they cheered Dom for winning the Intercontinental title. It's time for Dom to go babyface if they can put it in the cards. If they have other plans, of course, you can just, coast with Dom as a heel. But there is some success on the other side of the coin for Dom as a babyface. If he adopts the Eddie Guerrero version of wrestling when it comes to match finishes, and not every match he needs to cheat to win, but it would be funny if he's able to replicate that in a way that's endearing and tributary to Eddie Guerrero. That would be I think the best path when they decide to go babyface with Dom. Which, by the way, I think I mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. Eddie Guerrero, this year, it'll be 20 years. 20 years. Now, let me get the date. I forget. It was September, October. When did Eddie Guerrero die? I'm sorry. It was November. I thought it was October. I guess I'm wrong. So it was November 13th, 2005. Wow. So 20 years this year for Eddie Guerrero, which is just mind-blowing. And I've gone over that so many times. No death in pro wrestling has hit me personally harder. And I say personally in kind of a distant personal way, because I'm not delusional enough to think that I had some personal connection with Eddie. I didn't. 99.9% of us listening didn't. You may have seen him perform. I saw him perform. I saw him perform many times. WrestleMania 20, the most memorable, when he became champion. But something about that death has not gone away 2 decades later. It still is one of the most devastating, and for some reason it feels personal, even though I know logically it wasn't. Never talked to him in my life. He's not related to me. He's not my family. He's not a friend, not an extended friend. He's not a coworker. He's not an acquaintance. He's just a wrestler that I used to watch. And yet somehow he's the one that feels like a personal loss. I can't explain it. But I think it's a feeling that a lot of people share, because they keep coming back to Eddie Guerrero with the moves that they use in the ring, and Sasha Banks when she was here, and Eddie Guerrero or Dominic Mysterio using Eddie's maneuvers now, and you still hear the Eddie chants. There's something about it, and I don't know how to dig any deeper than that without going into some kind of psychoanalysis, which I won't bore you with here. But 20 years. 20 years. It's crazy. So maybe we'll do a big special on that in November. And I'd love to know your guys' memories of Eddie, and if you were alive. I know some of you weren't even alive when this happened, or you were infants, or very, very small children. For me, I was a 20-year-old as a junior in college in Coastal Carolina University down in Myrtle Beach. That's where I was, in my apartment that we had set up down there. And I remember sitting there, and yeah. Anyway, I won't go into it. Give me your guys, your memories of Eddie and where you were when that happened. So then we had, all right, where am I here? A footage airing of earlier in the day of Sami asking Adam Pearce for a chance to win the World Championship. Pearce said he couldn't make any promises. He said Zayn had a match with Rusev tonight, and they could talk after. Sheamus showed up and said Pearce wanted to see him. Pearce told Sheamus that he couldn't have a repeat of what happened to him and Rusev last week, and Zayn told Sheamus the match meant a lot to him and asked him not to get involved. Sheamus gave his word that he wouldn't interfere in the match. Then we had Io Sky expressing disappointment to Adam Pearce about her match with Naomi being postponed, because Naomi wasn't cleared, by the way. Naomi was not cleared to compete, and Pearce said she would let Sky know more once he heard something. And Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez showed up and mocked Sky before asking Pearce about opportunities, and Sky said she came for a fight and she could find a partner, and Pearce booked the match. And yeah, so then we get Rusev versus Sami. Now, this matchup went, what was the 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, yeah, so somewhat of a short match, but the match went to a no contest because we had Mateo and Loa pull Zayn to the floor and rough him up while Solo barked orders, and they try to control Solo's crew. That's when Sami did go for a haluva kick, but he was stopped by Solo and Tala Tonga and JC Mateo and Tonga Loa. So it was a no contest, and that's when Sheamus showed up on the other side of the ring and attacked Rusev. he got the better of Rusev and ran him into the crowd, and Zayn was still down being looked at by producers. So Solo Sikoa and his group that have no business being on Raw, that we're all supposed to forget. Again, I will be the lone voice screaming into the void that they are not Raw stars. They're not champions. Well, at least champions of any real consequence that could cross over, right? Solo is a champion, but we don't have a reason for him to be there. Okay? Makes no sense. But nonetheless, this matchup, again, was fine for what it was. I mean, Sami Zayn in front of the Quebec, while he's from Montreal, he's still, a fellow Canadian, so he gets that Canadian hometown hero type of welcome, and it is an opportunity to get heat, really, is what it is. I know that a lot of people, when they go to these events and have their hometown guys, like when Kevin Owens was there or Sami Zayn's there, or of course Bret Hart when he was wrestling, it's an opportunity for the crowd to love them, but it's also a great opportunity, you could argue an even better opportunity for heat, because you could get that visceral reaction from the hometown boy or boys getting their ass kicked in front of their hometown. So you'll get kind of an amplified response there, and that's what they did here. All right. So Pierce and security led Solo's crew out of the building and used his phone to reach out to SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis, but he ended the call when a referee arrived and informed him that they had separated Rusev and Sheamus, and Pierce questioned whether it was true after last week and set the referee out. So, okay, fine. You mean he took him out of the building with security. How'd they even get in? How'd they get to the point of actually, going through security, somehow going, sneaking by all those men, sneaking by the crack security team there? It's a little bit implausible. The problem is this would be more shocking, even slightly believable, if it didn't happen every single week with people crossing over, but it does. So, all right, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, and Grayson Waller then approached Pierce, and Woods was upset because Penta ruined his $12,000 hat, and Pierce said Woods could take it up with Penta in a match on next week's show. So Penta versus Woods is scheduled for next week. Small program, but nice to see when matches are scheduled a week in advance. We then had a Bronson Reed promo video air, and he said he became a big star because he attacked Seth Rollins. Reed said he earned Rollins' respect and was invited into the Vision, which, by the way, shout out to my listener, The Waz, I believe he's in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm pretty sure that's where he's from. He pointed out that last week, Seth called his group The Vision, and I missed it. It is officially called The Vision. I like it. Short, sweet, to the point. It aligns with Seth's previous missions and his previous kind of catchphrases. It's fine, and it's cool. So no objections from me there, and it's nice they have a name. Reed said he doesn't want Roman's respect. He said he punked out Reigns twice, and the only reason it hasn't happened a third time is because Reigns hasn't stepped up. And Reed said it would keep happening until Roman acknowledges his tribal chief. So there you go. There's your match for Clash in Paris. Roman versus Bronson Reed. I mean, it's there. It's right there. I thought it was official or tentative, but it's got to be, right? Io Sky was shown walking backstage when she encountered the Kabuki Warriors. Kairi Sane said that they were sorry about Sky's title match, and Asuka said they could be in Sky's corner, and Io said that she beat Roxanne Perez before and could handle her again. And that's when we get Roxanne versus Io Sky. This match went 15 minutes and 40 seconds with Roxanne beating Io. The finish was Asuka and Io running out to hold Perez against the ropes. Io tried to take advantage, but Perez broke free, and that's when Sky stopped short of hitting her, hitting both of her allies there. And we then had Perez shove Sky into Asuka and Sane and knocked them off the apron. And then we got a roll up and held her tights to get the 3 count. So Roxanne does beat Io in 15 minutes and 40 seconds, which was fine. Roxanne needs to get some momentum too. She's the newer girl on the block. Io is a respected champion, a respected former champion, one of the biggest stars in the women's division last year and into this year. And she's not going to be hurt by this loss at all. Roxanne Perez, even though she beat Io, did it in a way that you could say is a little underhanded with the roll up and pulling of the tights and all the rest. So a fine win for Roxanne. Io's not hurt in the least. And that's it. I mean, I don't know if this, by the way, is going to lead to any tension with Io and Asuka and Kairi because of the fact that Io knocked into Kairi and Asuka off the ropes. I doubt it based on how it happened, but it eventually could, perhaps, as Asuka and Kairi remain baby faces for the moment, but that can change on a weekly basis with those two, so you never know. So Jackie Redmond interview. Oh, by the way, before I continue, I did not forget about Karrion Kross. All right, I'm gathering my thoughts as I'm doing this review, and I'm looking at some things he said and making sure I have all the info. So I said I'm going to talk about Karrion. I am. Just give me a moment here. So let's continue though with Raw. And Jackie interviewed Jey Uso and mentioned that he missed Raw last week. I honestly didn't even know he did. That was not even at the forefront. When she said that, I go, really? That's, yeah. I go, I didn't even know you were gone. I don't mean that to be an insult, to just calling a spade a spade. I didn't even know he was gone. Jay said it hurt him to miss last week's Raw. Again, most people didn't notice. I don't think. But he had to handle family business. Jay said receipts are coming, and he put Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins on notice. And LA Knight interrupted the interview and said a lot of people felt Jay was conspicuous. I think that's what this words I'm reading is supposed to be. By his absence. Knight said some of those people were saying Jay must really want to get out of Roman Reigns' shadow because he didn't show up. Knight said he didn't believe it, and Knight said everybody wants the World Heavyweight Championship, but the line starts behind him. And Jay welcomed Knight to Raw and gave him a yeet. Again, Jay not getting to say a whole lot, but they have learned, WWE has learned quickly that you should not give Jay a whole lot to say because that's not Jay's strong suit at all. In fact, that's, I bet you, one of the major sticking points with WWE management's position on removing the belt from Jey Uso so damn quickly after WrestleMania. They learned that he is simply not... I'm really not trying to insult Jay, but he's not championship material, not world heavyweight championship material at this point. Doesn't mean he can't get there, but I've gone over this many times, so I won't rehash it other than to say he didn't have a championship feel. His promos were not good. He has yeet. He has a connection with the fans, which is very important and very, admirable. But he didn't have the complete package to feel like a true champion, and WWE clearly felt the same way. You wouldn't have changed course so damn quickly after WrestleMania. All right, so let's move on. We had then Women's Intercontinental Champion and her challenger, Maxine Dupree, who was accompanied by Akira Tozawa and Natalya. Yes, both of them still work for the company. I was as surprised as you. Cole hyped WWE's podcast schedule, including Jelly Roll, who's going to be on Cody Rhodes' show. Io Sky bickered with Asuka while Kairi Sane tried to play peacemaker. Asuka shoved Sky and stormed away, and that left Sky and Sane both looking shocked. Sane turned around and then ran off in Asuka's direction. So, as I just mentioned, this I must have missed this part because my speculation about potentially having the Kabuki Warriors turn heel may be founded or unfounded, depending on if they want to keep the Kabuki Warriors together or have Asuka just go plain heel. Asuka's turned so many times, I really don't know what to think about it. I mean, she's like the big show of the women's division. Asuka has turned so many times, and she works fine in both roles. I would actually argue she works equally as good in both roles. She's not better as a heel than she is as a face, and vice versa. I think she is equidistant from the destination of success when it comes to being a heel or a face. She can do both. She's an excellent in-ring worker. Again, really good at being a heel, really good at being a babyface, and fans accept both. She doesn't. I personally don't think she's one is better than the other. So who knows what Asuka's going to do? It may change on a weekly basis, and I'll just go for the ride with her because I have no real strong feeling on where she should go. If I was to make a decision, I think Asuka should probably stay with Kairi for a couple of reasons. One, Kairi needs something to do. So that's really important because without Asuka, Kairi is a lost puppy in terms of character. She just doesn't seem to know where to go. And number two, the women's tag team division needs depth just always and forever. And it would really, I think, bolster the division if you have two legitimate stars that are a legitimate threat to the women's tag titles at any time. And especially if you're not going to have Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, or they call her Lexi now, her real name. They're not going to have Lexi and Charlotte. Why don't we just call her Ashley? If we're going to let's just do that, right? So if Lexi and Ashley are not going to hold the belts for long, the Kabuki Warriors are certainly real contenders to hold the belts and take them off of them. All right, well, let's continue. We have then Maxine Dupree versus Becky Lynch for the women's Intercontinental title. As expected, the match didn't last long, and it didn't last long simply because Maxine she's not ready for a lengthy match. Went 5 minutes and 35 seconds after Becky Lynch wins by dismission. Here's what I did. Here's what my brain did. It mixed the word disarmor and submission. Bet you never heard that word before. But she did lock in the disarmor, which caused a submission, and Maxine loses, as she should have. I mean, the fans didn't really get too much into this. There wasn't a whole lot of hype for this, if any. Maxine has been largely off of the scene. She was a bit on the warm side when she was with the abusive Chad Gable, where he was berating her on TV along with Otis for several months. And you're thinking Maxine's finally going to snap. Ever since then, she's not really done a whole lot on the women's side of things. But the fact she got a women's Intercontinental title match, does she deserve it? Debatable. But she had a decent match for as long as it was going on anyway, for 5 minutes. And Becky Lynch wins, as she should have. I mean, that's not even in question. But afterward, Natalya and Tozawa check on Dupree, and then Lynch, hilariously, threw a cheap shot kick at Natalya, which is fine. I mean, this better not lead to Natalya versus Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental title at Clash in Paris. They always can use Natalya as a kind of in-house nostalgic act that has absolutely zero chance of winning any match she's actually in that has any meaning, which they've done with her for a long time. A veteran, respected. She has a famous uncle. I can't remember who it is. I don't know, some dude. But I'm being facetious. So she has all that. She has the name, but she's not going anywhere in the company. She's had her day. And they could certainly plug her in as a Becky Lynch opponent if they really want to give the women a little bit more representation on the show. But if you're a women's, division supporter, then, and most of us are, there shouldn't be situations where we have to have pity matches, where we have to just plug in people to check a box that we have. We need the women's Intercontinental title match. We need more women on the show. Let's just kind of pull Natalya in. It's like, no, that's what you used to do when the women's wrestling didn't mean much, right? You just pull these women that can actually wrestle to have a decent match from a technical perspective, a sound wrestling perspective to have a decent match. That shouldn't be a thing anymore. Now, I'm not saying it is, but I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it looks like it could be a possibility. Okay, so then we have a Bayley promo video airing. She said she didn't know how good she got, or she didn't know how she got to where she is. She said she's been doing this for almost 13 years and has never felt the way she does. She wants more but feels less. She said she wants more and feels nothing, and said the role model name meant something before she used it, and said she was treated like one before she saw herself as one, but she eventually realized she could make a change and be an asset to the business. She said now she's by herself. She said she felt everything that led up to where she is now got her nowhere, and she had no championship and couldn't remember the last time she felt proud of herself. She said it's her fault. The camera got blurry and then cut to black after she took a deep breath. And then there was a maniacal sound effect that played. Interesting. So are we getting a warped turn by Bayley. I mean, are we going full Nikki Cross here? I don't know. She's heading down some kind of path. I'm down for it. Bayley needs a bit of a kick in the ass. Of course, not a literal one, a proverbial kick in the ass, certainly. So we'll see where that goes. I don't know if it's a bit of a Bray Wyatt influence or, if her and Lexi and Nikki are going to have some. I mean, I don't know. They want to go demented with Bayley. That's interesting. But they're saying she feels alone and she's depressed and down. Is she spiraling into darkness? I mean, again, I feel like we've seen dark women's characters before and we kind of know what that looks like, but Bayley has yet to ever explore that. I mean, she went from, having love affairs with Bayley buddies and the little side ponytail loving, aw shucks kind of character to, slaughtering the Bayley buddies live on air to what I think was the peak of her career up until that point with Sasha Banks, of all people, that I just despise on every level. Despise Mercedes, like as a person, despise her. But at that point, I can objectively say her and Sasha, when they won almost all the women's championships, when they were running the women's division, when her and Sasha, before the breakup happened, I mean, that was just fantastic. If I'm not mistaken, it was during the pandemic era of all things too. And despite the fact that I hate everything that Mercedes is and does and says, as a person, again, as a person, that's how deep this is. I can still objectively say her and Bayley worked very well together. And that to me was the peak. And then after that, she had Damage Control, which was just sadly the beginning of the end for Bayley's current character a number of years ago at SummerSlam when she, I believe, was interrupted Bianca Belair. And from there, she brought back Kairi Sane. And it was just not a good look from there on out. She was hidden in the group, barely ever the focal point. The group was there, not there. We didn't know whether we were going. And then Dakota Kai and her had an eventual breakdown. And Dakota Kai, actually, before she got released, had a really nice breakout performance that year when she turned. So it's been a weird, and then obviously this year she left off WrestleMania. It's been a weird run for Bayley, who has been largely ignored over the last year and a half to 2 years. So to see what they're doing with Bayley here is encouraging, that they have some sort of plan. Whether or not the plan actually works, of course, we'll find out. Sometimes execution and real life will slap you in the face from what's just created in a boardroom or in a Zoom discussion with the creative team. We'll see what comes of this, but I'm down for it. All right, let's continue. We then had CM Punk. Let's talk about Rhea quickly, and then we'll get to CM Punk and Bronson, Reed, and all that. Io was shown walking backstage. She was approached by Stephanie Vacour, who told her she wasn't the only one who was promised a title match. Rhea Ripley showed up and told Io that she was sorry for her. She was looking forward to facing Sky facing Naomi, and Sky said Perez shouldn't have beaten her. Ripley agreed and questioned if Sky can trust Asuka and Sane. Sky said she knew what Ripley was saying and didn't appreciate it. So tension all around. That's the moral of the story. All right, CM Punk and LA Knight take on Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed with Paul Heyman, of course, at ringside. The match went 16 minutes and 25 seconds with CM Punk and LA Knight beating Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed by disqualification. So kind of a funky night for finishes as a theme. A lot of roll-up, DQ, no contest type of cheap finish nights. But Punk took a hot tag. He got Breaker down, hit him with a top rope elbow. Punk removed his t-shirt and signaled for his GTS finish. Seth Rollins comes in and attacks Punk for the DQ finish. The trio then beat down the baby faces. Jey Uso comes on the stage with a chair. Breaker met Jey in the entrance aisle and was put down with some chair shots. He comes in the ring, and Reed punched the chair out of Jey's hands. And, Jey worked over Reed with punches, picked up the chair, cleared him from the ring. Adam Pearce comes out and makes the fatal 4-way match for Clash in Paris, which will be Seth Rollins taking on CM Punk, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. I thought they took the word fatal out of it. I'm surprised because it's not like a deadly fatal 4-way. It is kind of funny that they say fatal. I mean, maybe it's just like a sudden death. Maybe that's the implication. One fall to a finish. Maybe that's, again, I'm guessing that's the implication, because to say it's a fatal 4-way or fatal 5-way or whatever the case may be, it's kind of a strong term to use, implying that someone's going to die. Like, that's the only context in which the word fatal is usually used, but I'm guessing it's just a way to say sudden death, right? One fall to a finish. Okay, so fine. No Roman Reigns. We did get Breakker and Reed holding Punk on the mat while Rollins told him he would never hold a world championship, though. Rollins left Punk laying with a stomp. Rollins held up his title while the credits were being shown. And, Breakker went to ringside, speared Knight. Reed hit a Death Valley driver on Jay. So all the heels ended up standing tall even after the announcement. So because Punk and LA Knight came to blows, and that's what allowed the trio to come in and do their damage. According to this analysis, this person says, quote, another crappy, although stronger language, finish to a WWE television main event. It seemed like such an obvious swerve when Rollins claimed he was leaving the building that I thought they might go a different direction. Unfortunately, they took the usual approach to avoid a clean finish by going with a blatant outside interference for a throwaway DQ. They make it tough to be excited about the 4-way match announced for Clash in Paris. Why would anyone think that it won't feature a bunch of outside interference before Rollins retained, given there are no disqualifications in 4-way matches? Well, yeah, I mean, again, the fact that 4-way matches or multi-person matches are no DQ by default is stupid, and I've made that case many times. But yeah, that's the finish. I know that this person feels that it's a crappy finish, it's predictable. Yeah, well, no kidding. I mean, sometimes you can see a finish coming a mile away, and you just have to accept it. And instead of looking and focusing on the finish of the match, which is all but a foregone conclusion, you have to look for the other side effect, the byproducts of this, meaning the quality of the match. Can they convince you at any point in the match that, oh crap, Seth Rollins may actually lose here? You look for that kind of stuff. You look for any potential steps moving forward of who Rollins could face moving forward, or maybe without Rollins, is Punk and LA Knight going to go on some kind of run, which I hope they don't. Is Jey Uso and Punk going to go on something, some kind of one-on-one? Probably not. But you look for those kinds of things. So yeah, it's predictable. So what? Yes, there's going to be a bunch of outside interference because multi-person matches by default don't have DQ. We're all going to have to live with sometimes the outcomes being incredibly obvious. It's part of pro wrestling. Okay. Now, there are a lot of people commenting about Karrion Kross. And there was one "We Want Kross" sign that I saw at the beginning of the show that I'm surprised wasn't taken. And there are reports of WWE confiscating "We Want Kross" signs. There was no, by the way, this is discouraging. If you are Karrion Kross, I did not hear any "We Want Kross" chants during the show. That's discouraging. That tells me perhaps the fans aren't super sad that he's gone. They could change their minds, and if they do, it'll be manifesting itself online and in person. That's when it might get WWE's attention. Now, this is all assuming, before I get into Kross's comments and all the rest, this is all assuming that this is not a work, because we all know that WWE is they're trying to deep fake us. They tried to deep fake us with Seth Rollins' injury, although they missed some very key points that it would have been more convincing that I've gone over before, with the fact that they didn't come up with a timeline for his injury or any kind of diagnosis. They could have easily lied to us. Big holes there that led me to believe it was a work at the very end before the match, before SummerSlam. But if they're going to go deep fake now with people being released and contracts and things, this could be another deep fake. for WWE. This could be another one of those, yeah, okay, we're going to fake you with an injury. Now we're going to fake you with a contract signing. Now, with R-Truth, Ron Killings, that was real. But this has the feelings potentially of a work. Or they could be seeing if they want to make this look like a work based on the crowd response or backlash. So, I don't have a conclusion yet, but there were no "we want Kross" chants, which is again a bit of a discouragement. So, Karrion Kross did comment on his departure. And he did say on X, hey, life is fighting, right? Now accepting bookings. And he has his listing here of business@killerkross.com. See you all again soon. So, again, I'm sure a lot of podcasters are reaching out right now, and they're trying to get him booked because it'll be great for ratings and hear what he has to say and all the rest, which, hey, if you get the interview, you do the interview here. I mean, like, yes, absolutely. Now, "We Want Kross" was trending for a little while and number one in the United States for a hot minute on X. That is encouraging. But again, it didn't translate into in person, which if you're WWE is key to whether or not you're going to take action to re-sign Karrion Kross. You also probably wouldn't confiscate signs if it was not real. So I'm leaning to this not being a work, but there is a potential that it is. And this is also from, and I'll give it a credit here. IMBD says, Karrion Kross has officially been released by WWE. He took to his YouTube channel, sharing his side of the story and what the future holds. That was not all because the video contained his sentiments about the, quote, uncertainty that each new day brought. However, he shared his philosophy on life and expressed his desire to stay with WWE. Kross discussed that in life there is no, quote, real certainty and that things can turn dark sooner or later. And he expressed his ideal desire of how he would want things to go from here onwards. And he said, tomorrow's not guaranteed. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen. What I would like to happen, I would love to stay with WWE. I'd love to really finish my career there. I would. I don't know what's going to happen, though. So, yeah, I mean, again, he was let go. Or his contract was, rather, he wasn't let go as much as they didn't renew his contract. They didn't offer him a new one. Okay? That's the difference. Big difference, right? Huge difference. Is that they did not offer him a new contract. Saying that, we just don't have plans for you. So if you're a Karrion Kross fan and this is real, and I'm leaning in the direction of this being real, it is a bit disheartening, but if the fans' voices want to be able to pull a miracle and do what they did with R-Truth, this needs to be a sustained movement, not just online. It needs to manifest itself consistently in the arenas with chants, with fans trying to hijack the show, with signs. And it doesn't seem like any of that's happening outside of just people typing on their phones. No, we miss Kross. Give Kross a chance. We want Kross. And then you get to the arena and you don't hear anything. That's a massive disconnect. That's not what you want if you want Karrion Kross to come back. So, we'll see what happens there. Karrion Kross, does have a desire to stay. We'll see. I don't think this is his last time ever in WWE. Maybe if he doesn't get re-signed right away, he probably will find his way back at some point. But if fans want to jump on this, they got to jump on it quick. Because this is the best time to bring Kross back, is when it's hot and fresh and in people's minds. And we all know how quickly the news cycle comes in and out of our heads, no matter how big or how tragic something is. I mean, doesn't Hulk Hogan's death feel like 4 years ago already? It's not even in the forefront of most of our minds, yet we lost the biggest star in wrestling history. So it's just incredible how quickly we all move on and go to the next thing and what's the next news. It's the world we live in. So if fans are going to make something happen, it's got to be now. It's got to be now while people are half paying attention. If it doesn't happen in the next couple weeks, Karrion Kross is probably going to go on and do his thing and take independent bookings or maybe if AEW is interested, but most likely maybe stay in the independents or make special appearances, do signings, again, interviews, that kind of thing. So that'll do it here for the WWE podcast on this Tuesday, August 12th. I appreciate everybody staying up late. If you are, I know some of you do listen to me late, or some of you fall asleep while I'm talking. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. So I appreciate it. I'll be back on Friday with your mailbag. I do want to hear from you on your thoughts on Karrion Kross, on the card that's shaping up for Clash in Paris in a couple of weeks, as well as the Seth Rollins story and everything else going on. And as we head into the end of summer here, it's not going to be long. So if you want to go ad-free, though, throughout the summer, the rest of the summer and into the fall, and ramping up for Survivor Series season in just a few months, you can do that. Patreon.com/WWE podcast. $1 a month gets you in the door. You also have a free trial if you want to do that, or Apple Podcasts as well. Hit that subscribe button and go ad-free there. Okay, everybody. Appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their week. We'll talk in a few days. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to Patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.